What's going on, guys? JSGC here, back again for another Manchester City transfer update. Before I do crack on with today's Manchester City transfer update, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, then do subscribe to my channel. I'm going to keep you guys up to date every single day with all the latest Manchester City transfer news here on YouTube. So do subscribe, it is free. Social media links are in the description if you want to go and follow me on my X, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up on today's video. We're aiming for 300 likes once more, and also don't forget as well to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So we've got no contract news to speak about today. We're going to dive straight on in with the outs. We're going to speak about a player who's already left Manchester City, but it's the latest on Jamie Gittens. Now, the Manchester Evening News have been reporting that despite reports of a 10% sell-on clause included on the deal that took Jamie Gittens to Borussia Dortmund from Manchester City back in 2020, they're saying that Manchester City didn't include a sell-on clause, and therefore Manchester City aren't going to be making any money from Jamie Gittens' transfer to Chelsea, which is set to be completed for a fee worth around £55.5 million, which is what's been agreed between Borussia Dortmund and Chelsea. Now, Gittens back in 2020 went to Borussia Dortmund for free because Gittens wasn't yet a professional football player at Manchester City. The details on the deal remain a little sketchy. I've just been doing my research and I can't really find all that much about the transfer. So my understanding is, I believe that Gittens, his contract was up at Manchester City because he wasn't yet a professional football player. Some kind of deal would need to be negotiated between Manchester City and Borussia Dortmund to make the transfer happen. And it normally comes in the form of a little bit of compensation being paid, because the rules and regulations when it comes to youth players on youth contracts aren't the same as professional players on professional contracts. Normally when a professional player, their contract is up, they're free to go and join another club, and that's the end of the matter. With youth players, it can be a little bit more complicated, and normally some kind of agreement is found between the two clubs where a little fee is paid to transfer a youth player over to another club, in particular if it's going to be a player on a youth contract moving over to their first professional contract. And it seems like what had been previously reported by Fabrice Hawkins, saying that there was no fee paid, but Manchester City had included a small sell-on fee, would make a lot of sense in terms of this transfer. So what the Manchester Evening News are reporting here surprises me a lot, because Manchester City, they're very good with their sell-on fees. I just can't imagine Manchester City being all that keen on letting a high-quality youth player, in particular a homegrown youth player, leave the club to go to a high-quality club like Borussia Dortmund and not have some kind of assurance about Man City getting some money over as losing a high-quality young player, regardless of whether the player wants to be at Manchester City or wants to leave as per all the youth contracts. So it's very complicated, and it'd make a lot of sense here for Man City to have said to Dortmund they don't have to pay any fee as long as they are allowing a small sell-on clause to be included, which a 10% sell-on clause isn't exactly a massive sell-on clause, and obviously with the deal now being worth £55.5 million would allow Manchester City to have just over £5 million from this transfer, which would sound about right to me. So what the Manchester Evening News are reporting on, with Man City getting nothing, and I'm not aware of any compensation being paid and no sell-on clause, it just doesn't make a lot of sense as to why Man City would have agreed to that deal back in 2020, because Manchester City had players to their academy. They only had players who were of high quality, and Manchester City are notorious for being very good at being able to make a lot of money from their academy graduates and their academy players. So I'm not entirely sure about who's reporting fact and fiction here, between Fabrice Hawkins saying there is a sell-on clause and it's 10%, and the Manchester Evening News saying there is nothing included and Man City let him go for free. So doesn't make that much sense to me. So strange, but I thought worthwhile mentioning on here because we have previously reported a couple of weeks ago about that sell-on clause being potentially involved with Jamie Gittens. Now, moving on to the ins, we've got the very latest on Tino Livramento, and despite reports coming in from the Manchester Evening News yesterday saying that Manchester City were set to walk away from Tino Livramento as they just can't see a transfer happening, in particular with City not believing that the player's all that keen on making a transfer away from Newcastle Newcastle this summer, and Newcastle don't need to sell due to their PSR stuff being sorted as they're playing Champions League football. Obviously, Livramento's got a fantastic relationship with Newcastle manager Eddie Howe. It all just equals towards Manchester City making this transfer very difficult and nigh impossible to make happen. However, Givemesport have been reporting this morning that Manchester City still want to have a pop at Livramento to see if they can make a transfer happen, and Manchester City believe that they can still convince Tino Livramento to leave Newcastle and join them this summer. So according to Givemesport, Manchester City are still preparing for their opening bid, which is what I was reporting on a couple of weeks ago in my transfer update when I kind of last gave a big update on Tino Livramento, that Manchester City were preparing for that offer to go into Newcastle, but Manchester City didn't want to put any offers in to distract the player whilst he was focused on the under-21 European Championships. But now that the European Championships for the under-21s has come to an end, Manchester City do want to try and make that offer and try and tempt Tino Livramento to come to the club. So we'll wait and see if that bid does go in, and if that bid does go in, it'll be really interesting to see what the response is and what does happen from there. But I imagine it's going to be a bit of a slow burner, this one, because obviously the young players have been out of the European Championships for the last 2 or 3 weeks or so, so they're going to need to still go on their holidays. So I imagine they're probably going to be away for the next probably 2 to 4 weeks or so before we're going to get any kind of clarity on their future, including that of Tino Livramento. And I'm also going to include James McAtee on that, because it's going to be a bit of a slow burner. I can't imagine Man City are going to sort out anything in terms of James McAtee's future until we do get to see him once more, and that won't be until post-Club World Cup and probably towards the latter parts of July. So Manchester City going to need to get clarity on that and try and sort out the future of James McAtee, and they're going to have probably roughly around 5 to 6 weeks towards the end of the transfer window to try and get the future of James McAtee sorted. And also, if the City do want to try and bring in Livramento, then they're going to have to push really hard towards the second half of the summer transfer window, as well as it is still quite quiet out there. But anyway, I wanted to congratulate James McAtee on winning the under-21 Euros with England yesterday, back-to-back European Championships for the England under-21 side. Some very promising upcoming English talents, homegrown talents that really Man City should be having a really good look at, and potentially looking to try and add some of these high-quality young players to their squad, including that of Tino Livramento. And I would say in an ideal world we'd want to keep hold of James McAtee as well, but with him not interested in getting into contract renewal talks with Manchester City, it's looking more likely that James McAtee's pointing towards the exit door this summer, and it'd make a lot more sense for it to be a permanent transfer than a loan transfer, with McAtee having less than 12 months left on his Manchester City contract as well. So we do need to get that one sorted ASAP, and sorting out what exactly we want to do in terms of the full-back positions and the right-back positions. And obviously it makes a lot more sense for City to be targeting homegrown players, because we're maxed out on non-homegrown players. So that's the direction that we're going in. A small update, an interesting update, and it's all very slow and kind of coming to a bit of a stall at the moment when it comes to the summer transfer window for Manchester City. And at some point over the next couple of weeks, things have really got to start heating up, in particular when it comes to not only new contracts but outgoings as well, because City do need to sell players in this summer transfer window to ensure that we've not got loads of players on our wage structure who aren't going to have any plans to be around the City first team squad. So I am expecting some developments on that, including that of Kyle Walker, which AC Milan have confirmed that he's returned back to Manchester City now. Waiting for clarity on Jack Grealish. Is anyone going to be making a move for him? Is it going to be a permanent transfer, a loan transfer? Is there going to be purchase options? What's going to happen with that? Calvin Phillips we need to sort out as well. Of course, any of the other players that potentially want to leave, Stefan Ortega Moreno being linked with the exit door, Gundogan being linked with the exit door. In terms of incomings, are any other players that City want to be targeting? Any under-21 players? Or any homegrown players, non-homegrown players? And if there is non-homegrown players, then we need to sell non-homegrown players. So it's a bit of a mess. It is really just a bit of a mess, but of course, do get any developments, I will keep you guys up to date every single day with all the latest City transfer news this summer here on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, do subscribe to my channel. It is free to subscribe now, less than 200 subs away from my goal of 45,000 subscribers. Don't forget as well to leave a thumbs up on today's video. We're aiming for 300 likes. Do get your thoughts as well in the comments below. I do go and check out my social media links, including my X, Instagram and TikTok. You can find them in the description. Also, don't forget, email in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries, and I'll see you all again religiously tomorrow for the next daily Manchester City transfer update. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.